Once again, would like to lead off today's video by saying a big thank you to everyone who has joined us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. It's only $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable first 90 days. Thank you to Vimeo for the partnership that allows us to take the gloves off, so to speak, and speak openly and freely, unlike many other places. We would love to have you over there. Those of you who have joined us, check your inbox over there. Earlier today, I went through all of the videos that were available and put them in one place and sent you an email with all of those links, going all the way back to way back in 2017 and 2018, all of the historical videos, plus all of the recent ones that we've done starting about mid-December all the way through the 1st of June. Now, this weekend, we're going to have a brand new one up, so keep your eyes open. Once again, would love to have everyone there. It would do me a huge favor to see more people over there. It would give me a lot more leeway to combat the censorship that continues to exist here. Now, in today's video, the war of the mind. There's something going on now in response to what we talked about yesterday. Primarily what we talked about was this idea that the military is not going to be there for us. And in the video previous to that, we talked about how they're going to allow Joe Biden to get kind of beat up in the polls because they're going to hide who they really want in 2024. Now, I don't think strategists on the more conservative side of the aisle have missed this. They're just not talking about it. But something was said recently that makes me think that perhaps Ivanka Trump has her eyes set on 2024. Now, this is a tough leap for a lot of conservatives because when you look at Ivanka Trump and what she has said and what she's done and what she stands for, even though she's the daughter of the guy, it would be a very difficult thing to say that you completely support this person. Number one, she's very, very pro-LGBTQ, whatever many initials after that, I just don't know them all. Huge, huge ally of the gay community. Something that Christian conservatives might not be too big a fan of. She's also very, very, very pro-abortion, unlike her father. She's of the opinion, don't like it, don't get one. And she would do everything she could to promote that group of people. Now, what else has she done? Well, she tossed her father under the bus, the whole Jan 6 hearing thing that's going on, and said that I had no indication that there was any problem, and I believed Bill Barr. They have that here on RT. Trump's daughter broke with him on election fraud claims. Ivanka Trump told the Democrat-led January 6th committee that she had accepted her father's loss to Joe Biden. Ivanka Trump told the Democrat-run committee, this is 9 June 2022. Democrat-run committee investigating the January 6, 2021 riot on Capitol Hill that she accepted former Attorney General Bill Barr's statement that Donald Trump's claims of 2020 election fraud were bullshit. And those were her words. Her quote, I respect Attorney General Barr, so I accepted what he was saying. Trump, who served as an advisor to her father, said in a Thursday video deposition shown by Representative Liz Cheney, a Republican opponent of the ex-president. A month after the 2020 election, Barr released a statement saying that the U.S. Department of Justice had found no evidence of fraud widespread enough to have swung the vote for Joe Biden. In his testimony to the January 6th committee, Barr said that he had made it clear to Trump in late 2020 that he considered the then-president's claim, quote-unquote, bullshit, and that he did not want to be a part of it. Now, following his daughter's testimony, Trump posted his response on Truth Social, his own social media platform. That's very easy to find. I'm not going to read the man's quote because I'd like to keep my channel here. So, these are the big three. These are the big three. Pro-LGBTQ, pro-abortion, and now very clearly against the whole 2020 thing. So that's going to give the left just enough of a door to open to allow her to run without going after her more so than they would anyone else. Because here's the real story. You see, they would allow her to win just to be able to say, see, not rigged, see, she won. And that's the part that would make people go, wait a minute, why would they do it? They would do that because they have lost, the left has lost their ability now to be seen as the underdogs, to be seen as the persecuted, to be seen as fighting against the big, powerful. See, they've lost that because they've been in charge. They've had control of the Senate, they've had control of the House, they've had the presidency. See, they need that underdog status again. But you see, they'd have a secret ally on some of their most key issues. And plus, don't underestimate her ties to other places around the world. This is, of course, her husband, Jared Kushner. Don't be surprised if this isn't a bigger deal after the 2022 midterms than it is now. Plus, it's somewhat of a type and shadow of Revelation 7, I believe, the woman seated upon the beast. Now, that's a bigger argument, the type and antitype, that things that happen in the Old Testament happen in the New Testament, and things that happened in modern times, there's always a type, a physical type and a spiritual type. She may be the woman seated upon the beast, so to speak. Now, in that same vein of thought, this is kind of a little bit of gear shift. We've talked about this idea of, medieval times. People have been recently coming to my videos and saying, man, I wish things were like they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. I was having a conversation with someone about, so you would prefer the 1950s, and this person was a woman. And she said, oh, absolutely, definitely, the values of the 1950s. Well, in the 1950s, a woman, you couldn't go buy a gun, not without your husband's permission. You couldn't enter into a contract. You couldn't buy a car. Absolutely not. Look it up. You could vote, but usually not without permission. Driver's licenses, all had to be done through your husband or your father, one of the two. Now, that's the 1950s. What do you think things were like in the 1750s? See, people watch Xena and they watch Hercules and they watch a lot of medieval reenactments of how things were, and things were a lot more different than what people remember. There are certain things that get taken for granted. There was a reason people shifted from living in villages to living in castles. This is kind of a type of the tabernacle, by the way, from the Bible. I know I'm kind of getting off the beaten path here, but I'm trying to get around to something else that's going on that is causing people conflict in their mind. Because they would see Ivanka Trump and they would want to think positive, 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 but then when they realized what she actually stood for, there would be this cognitive dissonance moment, meaning things aren't quite what they think they should be. Same thing with the 1950s versus now. You know, you would think, you look at the pictures, that'd be a much better time than now. But things were a lot worse in many other ways. Same thing with the villages versus the castle now. You ready to really shift gears? I stopped streaming over at Twitch because there's all sorts of different things going on in my life that don't allow me to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning like I was. It gave me the opportunity to talk with my audience directly. But there's something else going on the platform. For those of you that don't know what twitch.com is, it's a website that you can go to where there's a whole bunch of people streaming live, and a lot of them are doing different activities. Some people are just chatting, some people are doing like doodle work, a lot of them are playing video games, but there is this new category that cropped up about a year and a half ago, where it was girls who used to work in somewhat adult-ish entertainment in the real world, they would get these little inflatable hot tubs, or their houses would have pools and hot tubs, and they would sit in the hot tub in a skimpy little bathing suit, have a drink, and they would just chat, basically, with their audience about whatever. And these girls were making tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And here's an article, Twitch's hot tub problem. Pictured, hot tub, missing inflatable hot dog, and bimbo in bikini. Over the past couple of weeks, I've noticed a rising number of Twitch channels with bikini-clad women sitting on inflatable hot dogs in inflatable hot tubs, watching for a few minutes. It's real clear that there's no real content of value being produced. Pay attention there. Content of value, other than these ladies asking for subscriptions and bits. Some of these channels have hundreds of active live viewers. Now, clearly, this is a very old article, because now they have thousands and thousands and thousands of active live viewers, tens of thousands, some of them. It's one step away from being a cam girl. But wait a minute. I thought capitalism was the answer. You see, this is something that a lot of people didn't foresee. See, Twitch's hot stuff. Why is this important? Why do I care about this, Maki? Well, they're not doing anything illegal. You're just sitting in a hot tub and talking about your day. Why would it be something people would have such a particular issue with? Don't like it, don't watch. See, some people are trying to say, well, what happens when it's a minor that does this? Well, Twitch has safeguards against that, but, nothing is for sure. But, you see, there was a time when American Christians were socialists about stuff like this. See, capitalism wasn't the answer. These girls are making tons and tons and tons and tons of money. Tons of money. I've heard so many people say, oh, socialism destroys lives and it destroys societies. And well, really? Even Christian socialism? That cleaned up the streets and got all the hookers off the streets and said, can't have drug deals on streets, even though, there's nobody being harmed by a drug deal, right? Right? Nobody being harmed. There's somebody who has drugs they want to sell, and there's somebody who wants drugs. There's no victims there, right? Same thing with prostitution. Same thing with this deal on Twitch. Why did we clean anything up? You see, it's going to take us right to here. And a lot of people are like, what does this have to do with colony? See, it's this idea. Let me see if I can find the right picture again. You see, when shit hits the fan, and there's rolling brownouts and rolling blackouts, and people are running out of money, and people aren't able to do what they normally do, anything that gets the income rolling in is going to get considered. You mark my words. Watch what happens after 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. You think cops are going to be arresting prostitutes? You're out of your mind. Now, are these girls prostitutes? Well, it's something kind of like a softer version of it, yes. But would you really? Would you really? You see, there's a lot of people out there scratching their heads right now and rubbing their heads like, Ivanka Trump, good, but bad. How can that possibly be? And then there's this whole idea of what would happen, in a grid down situation. The 50s, 1950s were a good time, but wait, no. For a woman, they're bad. And then it's, capitalism, good, it saves everybody. Oh, but wait, here it's bad. See, this is the key. This is the overriding key of psychological operations about getting control of your mind. See, in a grid down situation, you would do whatever you had to do to survive. Is pain always a bad thing? Is pain always a bad thing? See, this is the key with the military that's decided it wants to go all in with the gay agenda. You have a whole bunch of soldiers out there now who are averse to pain. Any kind of pain, for any reason. Not the kind of people you need defending your country. Now, what does this have to do with colony? You see, in this series, It was literally a shit hits the fan situation in Colony. The aliens had come down, they'd put up walls, there were shortages, and people were going hungry, and it was just a bad time. This character, who was portrayed as being the wrong one, being the evil one, being the bad one, on the left, Amanda Rigetti, made a painful decision to save the life of her kid by shacking up with this guy who was also seen as an evil guy. But in the end result, something good came out of it. In fact, something better than even the heroine of the series got. And here's the kicker. Just even playing the roles in the TV series, they ended up together in real life, falling in love. Do not underestimate the power of psychology, even subliminally. This is the crazy part of this to me. All of the things that people think are good right now are bad. And all the things that people think are bad actually have a great many good things to them. This is why we teach psychological operations over at Patreon. And let's review real quick. The War of the Mind. People would see this and immediately go to positive. But wait a minute, how can this possibly be positive? Pro-LGBTQ, pro-gay agenda, pro-abortion, has completely dismissed her father's claims about 2020 and has come out and done so publicly? How could that be possible? She even did it on the big screen. Stood right there shoulder to shoulder with Liz Cheney, basically. So is that a positive? Is that a negative? You see, this is the key to what's really coming, is there's going to be a choice between what feels good and what is good. The type and anti-type. People think about the olden days, way back in the 1750s or the 1950s or the 1850s. Oh, things were so much better then. Is that really true, ladies? Is that really true? See, even back at the founding of this country, if you want to go back to the late 1700s, you weren't allowed to vote if you were not a white male landowner. Let me say that again. You weren't allowed to have a vote unless you were a white male landowner. And if you went to Europe, there was no voting going on, period. In the good old days. And like I said, in the 1950s, ladies, look it up. There's also a scene from Outlander, by the way, those of you who know what that series is on Twitch, that shows what happens when you disobey. And I'm sure a lot of ladies know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention it here. And then we have all the folks decrying socialism. Oh, socialism is bad. Socialism is terrible. Socialism is horrible. It causes destruction. Yet, when capitalism is confirmed, meaning whatever makes a buck, and that is capitalism, whatever makes a buck, whatever makes the most bucks, all of a sudden now it's a problem. All of a sudden it is a problem. See, these channels on Twitch were making way, way more than the gaming channels. Twitch stood up as a platform meant for kids to stream games and then share it with their friends. You see, you put all this together, this whole Great Reset thing. The rolling brownouts when the power goes out. I've heard a lot of people talk about, oh, I can't wait for the Great Reset. I can't wait for the Great Reset. You're going to see an explosion of immoral activity and immorality. And it will be ignored largely by the authorities. And people will be like, wait, how can this be? My mind is just not registering all this. See, this is the key. Do you want the understanding, nice, consoling beta guy? Or do you want the alpha guy that's going to be the pain in the ass? The guy who's a lot more like the guys were in the 1950s? Which one? See, this was the hard decision that this character had to make. Very, very difficult decision. Go back and watch the series in Colony. See, truly, Christians who believe in moral value at the societal level cannot describe themselves as anything other than socialists. Because that's what socialism did. I've used this article before, and I'll give you the link to it. Capitalism was neither a natural force nor a supernatural one. This hand was not invisible, and it was certainly not the hand of God. And I'll leave it there. God bless. Thank you, everyone who showed up at Patreon. Very much appreciate it. Would love to have everyone there. We're going to get much deeper into this coming weekend. We've been focusing on survival, shit is the fan situations as it applies to women. We've done 3 in that series, and we're going to do a 4th. We're going to do a 4th because I don't think people are really seeing the truth of what happens when the cops go away and the power goes out. So, God bless. Have a great weekend. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.